Hello and welcome to On Preachy, a podcast from St. John Chrysostom Parish. Today, Father Brian Zumbrum reflects on Luke chapter 13, verses 22 to 30, the Gospel for Sunday, August 24th, 2025.
You know, I really appreciate how the scriptures love to come at my weak points, often in rapid succession. Last week, we had my desire to have everyone like me get a nice little glare. And this week, the good Lord comes after my perfectionism. Because, let's be real, every time I hear there's a narrow gate that I must get through, my brain immediately goes to, I must be perfect to get through that narrow gate. And then my brain spends the remainder of the time filling in all the reasons I'm not perfect, and therefore good luck on that narrow gate. All the times I judged another or gossiped about them, all the opportunities I had to do good or build the kingdom that I just didn't take or didn't have the energy to do, all the tasks that I complete late or don't complete at all the moments in which someone gets my leftovers, when I'm distracted or frustrated, exhausted or overwhelmed. And I know I'm not alone, because we are a society that breeds perfectionists. We convince ourselves that if we just work a little harder, we will make it to that magical place in which we'll have done it all, we will have done it all perfectly, and we made it look easy to boot. We are constantly criticizing ourselves for all the ways we seem to fail to get to that narrow gate, even as we look around and convince ourselves that everybody else is just waltzing through it, that they have managed to figure out the elixir of perfection that is somehow eluding us and just us. We fail all the time. As parents and as spouses, as children and as friends, as employees and as bosses, as colleagues and as neighbors, and as disciples. But then we have to take the next step forward, which is, well, we must then be failures if we have failed. We must be unworthy of that narrow gate, and we convince ourselves that the Lord's just waiting up there to deny us when we get there. But the more I reflect on this reading, the more I'm convinced that in my perfectionist fever dream, I'm missing the entire point of the passage. Because there is a word that Christ starts off with. The word strive is how he begins that command. He does not say, enter the narrow gate. He says, arrive and strive to do so. Because Jesus understood that trying to become who God calls us to be is a constant striving. It is always going to be work, hard work. Work that will often feel futile and frustrating. But it is the only work that produces a true disciple. A disciple who will spend their lives striving to emulate Jesus in the way that he lived, in the way that he walked the path. And so we find ourselves striving to be empathetic because Jesus was empathetic. We strive to suffer with the other, even in the face of the rich and the powerful who declare to us that empathy is just a sign of weakness, that our willingness to stand in the margins is a sign of delusion, a fool's errand, a dangerous plot. We strive to be forgiving because Christ was forgiving. We choose to reconcile with our enemies even in the face of a society that preaches to us a message of retaliation and revenge, where we are told to fight fire with fire even if the whole world burns. We strive to be vulnerable because Christ was vulnerable. We become open, convinced of our own worthiness as beloved children of God, even when we get hit with counter messages every day that tell us to distrust the world, batten down the hatches, protect ourselves and our hearts. Don't let anyone in, don't let any love out. We strive to build the kingdom because Christ built the kingdom. And so we feed the hungry, and we house the homeless, and we visit the sick and the incarcerated, and we welcome the stranger and the alien and the refugee in their midst. Even in the face of a rising tide of policies and proclamations that tell us those individuals are somehow disposable, unworthy of our time and love, drains on our collective resources, we strive to build the kingdom anyway, because Christ built it anyway. And so we strive each day and every day until that day in which we breathe our very last and walk gently into the arms of a God who awaits us at the gate. Of course, Jesus isn't going to recognize us if we attempt the narrow gate through the path of perfectionism, because perfectionism is not what we were created for. We were created for love, and we were made to love. And if we strive on that path, we will arrive exactly where each of us belong. May God be praised.
Unpreachy is a production of St. John Chrysostom Parish in Wallingford, Pennsylvania. Visit us at sjcparish.org. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. This podcast was produced by Brendan Lorden with music by Skytoes on Upbeat. Thanks for listening. Be well.